Hello there and welcome back to Game a Movie Recap. Today I'm going to recap Eden, is a 2012 American drama film about human trafficking. A young Korean-American girl, abducted and forced into prostitution by domestic human traffickers, cooperates with her captors in a desperate ploy to survive. The movie starts with Hyun's harrowing experience, as she is forcibly abducted and confined to the car's trunk, desperately pleading for help. Her captor remains icily composed, urging her to calm down, and she complies when she senses the futility of resisting. During this unsettling encounter, she notices a distinctive tattoo on the kidnapper's hand. Subsequently, the kidnapper shuts the trunk and drives away, leaving the audience in suspense about what will unfold next and why Hyun was targeted for this abduction. The narrative then takes us back to July 1994, where Hyun is assisting her mother in the family store. Later, she meets up with her friend Abby, who provides her with a counterfeit identification card that Hyun plans to use to gain access to nightclubs. The two friends make plans to go out that evening. Hyun's father enters the scene, having overheard their conversation, and he implores her not to divulge the existence of the forged card to her mother. He believes that her mother would prohibit her from going out if she were aware of it. As a parting gesture, he bestows upon her a ring, which he had intended to give her on her graduation day, and he urges her to take care of herself before embarking on a delivery errand. After returning to work with her mother, who maintained a strict attitude, Hyun expressed her desire to go out late with her friend. Initially, her mother refused and set a curfew at 10 in the evening. However, after Hyun's persuasive attempts, she eventually relented, permitting her to go out with Abby. That night marked Hyun's first venture into a nightclub, an experience that filled her with delight. At the club, a handsome young man, dressed in a military uniform, took an interest in her. Hyun initially informed him of her age, but he assured her that this was a unique and special occurrence. He briefly left to make a phone call but returned to continue their conversation. As the night grew late and Hyun wished to return home, she found herself unable to locate Abby. The young man offered to give her a ride back to her house, and she accepted. On their way, he proposed spending some time in the car, but she declined, explaining that she needed to hurry home to avoid trouble with her mother. He agreed to take her home but stepped out of the car to make a phone call before doing so. Upon parking the car, another car appeared behind them, prompting him to investigate. Hyun, who had a growing sense that something was amiss, observed several counterfeit badges and various counterfeit uniforms for different professions in the back seat of the car. Feeling uneasy, she decided to flee, but before she could escape, someone struck her, causing her to lose consciousness. The following day, we find Marshall Bob driving the car and conversing with his son on the phone. While on the road, he noticed the sheriff standing with another individual, both focused on something. Bob approached to see what was going on and learned that Phil had discovered a lifeless body on his property and called the sheriff. Bob asked to see the body, and upon doing so, he inquired if there was anyone else living with Phil or if he had informed anyone about the discovery. Phil assured him that he lived alone and no one else knew about it. Suddenly, without warning, Bob pulled out his firearm and killed both Phil and the sheriff. Meanwhile, Hyun regained consciousness, only to find herself in a truck with two other girls. The truck came to a halt, and a burly man approached Hyun. She once again lost consciousness, and when she awoke, she found herself handcuffed to a bed in what appeared to be a surgical operating room. An individual resembling a nurse approached her, offering no opportunity for Hyun to speak before sedating her and removing her restraints. The nurse tended to the wound on her head and had the men present escort her to the bathroom for cleaning. Upon regaining consciousness, Hyun found herself in a place surrounded by girls her age, all dressed in identical attire. Marshall Bob arrived, holding a box filled with cats, and instructed each of them to choose a cat to care for. He first asked a girl named Svetlana to pick a cat, and it became apparent that Svetlana held a special status among them. Bob issued a stern warning, making it clear that attempting to escape would result in a deadly fate, as exemplified by their friend Maria, whom he had killed when she tried to break free. Fearful and under duress, each girl selected a cat, except for Hyun, who remained on her bed. Bob approached Hyun and revealed that he possessed detailed information about her, even mentioning her ring, which he took from her. He advised her to rest for a day or two to recover from the trauma, but he made it clear that she would soon be required to start a new role. He informed her that her new identity was Eden and instructed her not to disclose her real name to anyone. He implied that the people who had abducted her were part of a trafficking gang that exploited young girls. He warned Hyun that any attempts to cause trouble or escape would result in harm to her family, as he possessed comprehensive knowledge about them. Afterward, she gets ready to work with the girls. Vaughn provides them with dresses to put on, and prepares them for their tasks. Subsequently, he takes Hyun and another girl, Kyo, and escorts them to a nightclub. There, a woman restrains them and subjects them to physical abuse, all while Vaughn records the ordeal. Once it concludes, Hyun appears visibly upset, with Kyo attempting to console her. The following day, Vaughn escorts Hyun to meet a client, but she attempts to flee. Vaughn manages to apprehend Hyun and bring her back. When she seeks assistance from others, Vaughn claims she's a criminal and that he's simply carrying out his duties as a police officer. Hyun is returned to her distressing situation, and Vaughn resorts to harsh measures to prevent her from escaping once more. He submerges her in an ice-filled tub and leaves her there overnight. Hyun endures this torment for an entire year, with no friends except for Kyo. It is only then that she notices her ring adorning Svetlana's hand. Kyo reveals that Svetlana holds the most authority among the girls, as she's over 18 years old, implying that she has now joined their ranks. Afterward, Hyun accompanies Vaughn to a nightclub following her work shift. As she readies herself to return, she accidentally breaks the heel of her shoe and uses it to hit something. She's become accustomed to her time in this place, especially with her friend Kyo. However, upon returning to her room, she discovers that Kyo is absent because she's gone out to work. Svetlana is the girl in the nearby vicinity. During the night, after ensuring that Svetlana has fallen asleep, Hyun attempts to obtain Svetlana's ring by attacking her with the hidden heel of her shoe. Vaughn intervenes and decides to punish Hyun by forcing her to ingest the ring. Hyun appeals to Vaughn, requesting to assist with the calculations since she has reached adulthood at 19 years of age. However, he declines, asserting that he alone will make the decision at his upcoming party. Vaughn contemplates Hyun's words, particularly acknowledging his own inadequacy in calculations, leading him to give her an opportunity to help. Suddenly, he notices the girls fleeing the premises while he's occupied, prompting him to join Hyun in his car to search for the girls. Hyun, by disclosing the girls' location, transitions from being a kidnapping victim to a member of the gang. At night, Hyun visits the bathroom to clean her ring and wears it. The following day, Vaughn readies the girls for their work assignments, excluding Hyun. Instead, he brings her to his home for cleaning, and later to an office where she begins answering phone calls. Svetlana becomes incensed upon seeing Hyun, sensing that she might be replaced. However, Vaughn clarifies that it's an order and dismisses Svetlana from the office. He also transfers the care of Svetlana's cat to Hyun. Vaughn proceeds to instruct Hyun on her tasks, including interacting with customers. When she inquires about pricing, he advises her that the customers are already aware of the prices, and her role is to relay this information promptly if asked. Furthermore, Hyun assists with transporting other girls and handling drugs, eventually assuming responsibility for managing the accounts. Meanwhile, Bob, the figure in charge of the largest human trafficking operation, delivers a lecture on gangs and the detrimental effects of human trafficking. Officer Ruve Greer arrives to inform Bob that he's investigating the sheriff's murder, which occurred a year ago, supported by GPS evidence that places Bob at the scene of the crime. Bob denies any involvement and departs. During her work, Hyun answers a call, records customer information, but becomes suspicious when the customer asks about the price, suspecting potential surveillance. She informs the customer that the cost is $600, while concealing this detail from Vaughn. The following day, Hyun accompanies Vaughn and Bob to dispose of the bodies of two girls. Their plan was to toss the bodies into a lake from a boat, but unexpectedly, Vaughn kills Bob. He instructs Hyun to stay calm, citing orders from higher-ups. They return to their place of residence the next day, and Vaughn brings Hyun with him to meet two gangsters. While there, he even recognizes a man with the same tattoo as the one who had kidnapped her and placed her in the trunk of a car. She comes to the horrifying realization that it's the same person who had abducted her. Seeking privacy, Hyun asks to use the bathroom and makes a startling discovery. The place is equipped for childbirth. She continues her search and enters a room where she finds her friend Kyo, who is pregnant. Kyo explains that they're taking care of her and that the fetus is healthy. Hyun expresses her intention to help Kyo, aware of the danger she's in, but Kyo refuses, knowing Hyun's association with their captors. Later, Vaughn summons Hyun to watch the news on TV, where they report Bob's death and the police uncovering his ties to the sheriff and Phil's murder. Vaughn becomes uneasy, sensing that something may have occurred with Hyun. During their journey, Vaughn inquires about what Hyun saw at their residence. She reveals her discovery of a delivery room, indicating the trafficking of children. To test her loyalty, he asks her to kill another girl, who is in the car with them. As Hyun appears willing to carry out the act, Vaughn seizes the gun from her, ensuring her commitment to him. While on the road, Vaughn receives a call, prompting them to relocate the girl due to concerns about being reported. They have already transferred the girls, and Hyun assists in destroying any files or evidence at the location. They then return home together. Vaughn requests Hyun to select a passport with a photo resembling her and inquires about their destination. He discloses their plan to go to Dubai. Taking advantage of his distraction, Hyun secretly adds poison to his drug tube. When Vaughn consumes the drugs, he succumbs to the poison, allowing Hyun to take money, passports, and an anesthetic injection. Then she goes to the house where Kyo is. She offered the man to buy Kyo, but he refused and told her that the amount was small. He only allowed her to see for 5 minutes while walking behind him. She injects the man with an anesthetic injection. Then she entered the room and found Kyo. She wanted to take her out of the place, but Kyo refused because she wanted to stay next to her child. He even told her that the gang sold her child and then took her and fled the place. Then she tried to call her mother when her mother heard her daughter's voice. She cried in a moment full of feelings, sadness, and joy at the same time. This is how Hyun was able to save herself and her friend. The end. What do you think of the movie? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like and support the channel by subscribing and click the bell icon so that you won't miss our future recaps. And if you have any movie you want us to recap, please do tell us in the comments section as well. And until next time.